Out of the gate, JT, as we are live from the Thomas and Mack Center for NBA Summer League. Thanks to Albert Hall and his entire team for getting us located and set up here on what looks to be a great location. And I have never missed a Summer League. I have a perfect attendance record at Summer League. And we're here Monday, and we'll be here Thursday. And we are broadcasting live on YouTube at JT the Brick. Easy to find. You should already be subscribed for free. You get all the alerts. You get everything. You'll be able to see us and hear us from this nice set. We got a couple of guests that I'm trying to wrangle down today. Kurt Helin from Basketball Talk on NBC. He's a great guest. George Sedano, who's calling games here for ESPN. He's supposed to stop by. And a good day to get on the phones because I got a lot to say. Just got back from Boise, Idaho. I'm going to spend a few minutes telling you about that. I was up in Boise tubing and rafting and biking on e-bikes since Thursday, and it was beautiful, even though it was 102 degrees in Boise. What was that all about? It stayed light outside till 9:30 at night. I loved it. I loved their green trail. I was going 30 miles an hour on e-bikes with buddies. It was great. And then we went tubing down the Boise River that goes right by their football stadium through downtown. Man, that was impressive. And a nice light current, all of us tied together in tubes with a giant tube just holding the Modelos and everything else that we needed. And it was fantastic, like a 2.5-hour cruise, tubing cruise down there, and loved that and just loved the community and the people I met. It was really cool. Had a lot of fun. And I would recommend everybody go back to Boise if you haven't been there. What a nice summer escape from Vegas. Even though it was pretty hot up there, but the water was refreshingly cold. Everybody had a good time. My wife, 4 other couples, and I would definitely go back there again. I was able to watch a little bit of sports, but I tried to decompress and get off my phone for a few days. Because if a doctor was ordering me to do that, I would take his advice. Get off the phone in the summer and don't look at your feeds. Tried to do that for a little bit, but it was great to hang out with friends and have a good time. So here's what I'm doing today. I normally don't do a lot of UFC because I'm a boxing guy. I'm not a UFC guy. With that being said, I'm a big fan of Dana White. So Dana White, in this community a long time. I've known Dana a very long time. I wouldn't say we're people that hang out together, but my kids know his kids, and I think Dana White, I've said it, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Dana White is the #1 commissioner in all of sports. If you look at all the commissioners, everybody who runs a sport, Dana White is the best. Now, there's going to be controversy in UFC, always. There's going to be fights that you don't like. There's going to be fighters that don't perform well. There's going to be epic fights. There's going to be recycled fighters who shouldn't be fighting. They should also be retired and all of that stuff. So we know how all that works. Okay, every fight card, let me tell you, every boxing match I went to I think every single Floyd Mayweather fight. I got the credentials to prove it. The majority of Floyd's fights sucked. They were terribly boring. Now, he was a tactician. He would go out there and box and save his brain by going out there and winning easily. But if you ever went to a Floyd Mayweather fight, it wasn't entertaining. There were a few of them, but most of the Floyd Mayweather fights were blowouts. He won. The problem I had with Floyd, and I know a lot of other people did because I sat next to him ringside covering the fights, is the Floyd fights he never tried to knock anybody out. People want to see knockouts. You go to a Floyd fight, he'd win 11-1. You know, he'd be up 10-0 in the 11th round and just doing nothing. So that wasn't entertaining, but you had to be there because he was the best fighter in the world. Pound for pound, he was the best fighter in the world, and I got a chance to fight. Same with Manny Pacquiao, but Pacquiao put on better fights. A Pacquiao fight was more entertaining always than a Floyd fight. And then you saw some good Canelo fights that were entertaining and some heavyweight fights here or there. But I've been around Vegas long enough to say I was at the Tyson fights. I saw some big ones. I saw De La Hoya Trinidad. I saw a lot of epic fights. UFC, I've probably been to less than 10. But I've been to enough UFC fights, and my kids watch it. And I cannot believe how many people were stupid enough to pay to watch Conor McGregor and to bet on Conor McGregor. I don't care if you told me you got it for free because you streamed it somewhere else. If you let Conor McGregor take an hour out of your night, or you went to that place and you paid big money to watch Conor McGregor fight, you're out of your mind. If you bought into that scam of Conor McGregor, not UFC. No, UFC's great. You wanted to go see the whole card, and I guess there were some pretty good fights on the card. But if you thought for a moment that by going to see Conor McGregor, you were going to see something other than a goofball in the ring, mugging around there, acting like just an idiot, and then the fight ends and there's a controversy, and you weren't aware of that, and you bought into it, and you believed it was going to be epic. I heard people saying they were expecting something epic. What are you doing? You were going to see something epic. There was an 80% chance you were going to get ripped off by Conor McGregor if you put money on him, or you thought you were going to get a fight that would go anywhere more than 100 seconds. He's washed up. He's a bum. He's despised. He's despised in Ireland, his home country. How do I know that? I have friends and family relatives who are connected to Ireland, and they've all said the same thing. He's a bum. Now, did he put on good fights back in the day? Yeah. Was he entertaining? Was his story good? Yes, but then some of the controversy surrounding him in his personal life. And you can say the same thing with Mike Tyson. And a lot of guys have problems in their personal life. Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods. I paid to see them all too. But what were you thinking? What were you thinking that you were going to invite people over to the house and sit around and watch Conor McGregor, and you thought what was going to happen? Exciting and entertaining? So I'd like to get your opinion on what happened. If you bought it, if you went, if you thought it was going to be something different, I'd like to know your opinion. I think that's a very important topic today in Vegas, because I'm reading about a lot of people who said that they were ripped off. They were clearly ripped off, and he was injured after the fight. There's some conspiracy theories that he was injured before the fight, and he came in damaged goods. I'm not going there because I don't know that to be true. I was gone for the weekend. I wasn't paying attention. I don't know all the details about was that knee hampered before the fight. But it sure looked like it wasn't great, and it wasn't fun, and a lot of people who are watching the fight feel like they got ripped off. And that's really my job in sports. My job in sports is to be a fan, which I am, and to tell you how I feel about sports as a fan, or get your reaction on how you feel and talk about it. That's really it. We're not here to talk about Taylor Swift's wedding. We're not going to get into a lot of other garbage. We're talking sports. And if you bought the fight, you should have an opinion on the fight and give me a reason why you'll pay for another scam like that. And again, I don't want this taken out of context. I like Dana White and all of his cards. What are we at, 329 now? The majority of them have been really good and entertaining. But every once in a while, you get a stinker. You get controversy. And the only criticism I've had with MMA and boxing after a while, there's no new stars. Conor was a big star. That's why Conor was able to climb to the top of the sport and do some great things. So we'll begin with Dana White talking about the injury, the ACL, which was a very big injury, but he said this post-fight.
I mean, I was expecting at least a one-round war, or, who knew what Conor was capable of as far as cardio or whatever else after a 5-year layoff. And, well, there you go. I mean, we're assuming blown ACL. I'm no doctor, but that's what I figured when I saw it, and doctors think the same thing too.
All right, so that's a pretty important soundbite when you hear that. Dana White wasn't expecting more than a round. Okay, so that means if he wasn't expecting it, what should you have been expecting from his cardio, not fighting in 5 years? Okay, that's what you're going to get from Conor McGregor. We'll go down to Dana again talking about the existing pre-injury or not, because Dana White was pressed on this. A lot of people were trending on social media wanting an answer to the fact, was McGregor injured before the fight, and was anybody aware of it?
We were talking about the guy over here earlier asking about there being a pre-injury. Just on my accounts, the face-off that day is at 80 million views, right? So if there was a pre-existing injury, somebody would have noticed it. He was limping, put his shoes on, he ran right at him. I don't think there was. Anything is possible, but he sure didn't look like it. And for 80 million just on my accounts, that number's got to be massive, and nobody noticed anything. So there you go.
All right, so there's Dana basically telling you that no one noticed anything with Conor McGregor. And I'm not here to say that Dana White is lying or not, because I have no reason to. okay? But there's a lot of conspiracy theories online. And there's a lot of people online that believe if they're losing a bet that there was a conspiracy theory behind the bet. And that's been going on since gambling was legalized with sports. If you lose a dramatic wager, you want to blame someone. You want to go out and blame someone for why you lost that football game. Well, the referee, was it a catch? It wasn't a catch. I get it. I get all of that. But overall, it feels like it was a really big money grab, a tremendous money grab overall. And if you believe it was a money grab, I want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from Dana White on that or his executives behind the scenes. I want to hear if you, the fan, thought it was a money grab and you thought it was terrible, because that's what sports is all about. That's what sports is all about. Do you feel like you got ripped off in a fight? If you go to a boxing match, or you go to UFC, or you go to a Raider game, or you go to an NBA Summer League game here, whatever it is, and you're gambling on that event, and you feel that that event did not have integrity, you better call into Sports Talk Radio. You better tell everybody in sports radio that you feel ripped off. I don't know anybody who watched that UFC fight that didn't feel they got completely ripped off. Now, you might have liked a lot of the fights on the card, but we're here to talk about Conor McGregor. And was Conor McGregor, a villain? Of course he's a villain. He's a villain in real life. But, wow. I wasn't planning on talking about that on a Monday. Normally my Monday show when I come back is about whatever. On Monday during football season, it's about a game. Or if we move to another sport, I want to still talk World Cup. I definitely want to talk World Cup and what's going on there. I got a lot to say about NBA Summer League and the summer of LeBron James. This is the summer of LeBron James. So we're going to get to it. Reports are a decision could be made with LeBron in 48 hours. I think Philadelphia is coming on strong. I'll dive into that with some of our guests today. But when you look at the whole situation, that what we're seeing here now, we're seeing something that was dramatic, very dramatic with Conor McGregor. And I want your opinion at 702-365-9200. I take phone calls from fans who go to sporting events and watch them. Don't tell me there's not 100 people who can hear me right now that have an opinion on Conor McGregor. You better have one, because I'm going to think you're a sheep and you're going to show up and go to another weird event down the road with some aging fighter who has nothing left, and you're going to pay for it? Now, there's a good thing about this having the Paramount Plus package. If you have the Paramount Plus package and it's much cheaper than buying it on pay-per-view, I'm good with that also. I'm fine with that. I just don't like wasting money. And I know someone's going to make a little wink at me and say, well, I went to Raider games last year and they only won 3 games. Yeah, they only won 3 games last year. And that's what happens. Sometimes you go to a game and it doesn't work out the way you expected. But there's no integrity problems with the Raider game. The only integrity issues people had last year with me was one of the first times in decades were they tanking or not down the stretch. And we interviewed the coaches, and the coaches were trying to win down the stretch. But Brock Bowers is sitting. He was injured. Max Crosby was going to have a surgery. He was out. But that's all I'm talking about here is integrity. And gambling and steroids, and was someone injured before the fight? Can you imagine, and I'm not saying this is true, can you imagine if he was injured possibly before the fight and went in there and people were gambling on the fight? I don't know what to tell you on that. I would assume that wouldn't happen. There are restrictions. There's a commission. Everybody should be aware of this. And Dana White, again, has always been transparent about everything. Now, this one last bite about Dana White with what happened with the graphics when they were putting all the celebrities on the video board, and they didn't have the right names of the celebrities. This was pretty good. Here's Dana White.
I tell you all the time, my production team, we just did the White House. We built arena on the south lawn of the White House, and it was the greatest thing in the world to be there live and to watch it on TV. I just paid Shakur Stevenson a load of money, and for some reason we can't figure this celebrity out. They put him up as OKC NBA player. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But we are the absolute worst to ever do the celebrity thing. When we put celebrities up, we are the worst. I just had the debate in the back with my guys while I was screaming at everybody back there, and they said, no, soccer's worse. Soccer shows the people and they don't put up any graphics. Oh no, we put up graphics and put the wrong guy's name on it. We win. We're the worst ever. Do it.
All right, that is Dana White, and Dana White basically saying, forget it. They can't even do that. They can't even do that. So I don't know what anybody thinks. I think Dana White was so transparent with his team that really struggled with making that work. Again, I didn't see it, and I wasn't going to see it because I was not going to pay or watch garbage Conor McGregor. So I was with a bunch of people, and we could have thrown it on, and we had no interest in that. None. So that's a big topic today. I want to hear from you, 702-365-9200. And if you just think that this happens from time to time in sports, fine. From time to time in sports, you get a stinker. You get a bad event. You get something that, you walk away and say, man, I feel like I just got ripped off. You got ripped off. You got ripped off if you put any time into Conor McGregor thinking that was going to be anything other than a clown show. And I guarantee you, someone 2 years from now will want to pay to see Conor McGregor fight again. And I'll say the same thing. 702-365-9200. Blind Mike in Philly checking in here as we kick it off on a Monday. Go ahead, Mike.
JT the Brick, what's up, my brother?
What's up?
When you bring up this topic, it makes me think back. A nice big shout out to the handoff. When you discussed in that book how when it came down to the thing with Tyson and the biting of the ear, how everybody, there was like an aura and there was a vibe that was, as you walked into the, to see, everybody was dressed up, ready for like a movie theater. And here comes all these kinds of women, and you talk about it in the book, how it just felt there was a different vibe that night, that something was going to happen that you couldn't control. And I believe all you guys got ripped off that night because, it was what? I'm blind, so I didn't see it, obviously. But, people that paid for back in the day with the Showtime and stuff like that, that's why I don't pay for fights. I don't gamble. I just love my sports, and that's it. But that's my personal stuff. I don't gamble and stuff. Because think about it, you go out to Vegas or, anywhere to watch a boxing fight, you pay whatever, a few, $12 or whatever, and then you go in and then you see 2 seconds of a knockout, or you'll see what happened with Tyson and, that's where I get crazy with that. And I feel very strongly about not gambling when it comes to sports because of that. Because anything can happen, right? Anything.
Anything could happen, Mike. I got to run. I appreciate it. And no, you're right on with that because, thank you. If you cannot hear, if you're sitting in a situation when you're at a major sporting event and you're gambling on it and you feel like there's integrity with the gambling, that's your problem. That's your problem. If you can't go to a sporting event and not gamble, if you just can't go to a McGregor fight and say, I'm not going to bet on it, I'm going to watch it, that's your problem. That's it. I'm not saying you're addicted to gambling. You got a gambling problem. Not at all. A lot of people want to go to a big event. They want to go to a big fight. They want to go somewhere, and they want to have action on it. I don't. But there's people who need that. I saw a tweet today that today's a huge day. If today's the only day without sports to bet on, I believe, right? The only day. I don't think you can bet on anything other than, home run derby or something like that. So if you can't go a day or two and just not bet on sports, I don't know what to tell you. But a lot of people went in there. I was reading 82% of the tickets were on McGregor or whatever. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I think it's important to, have the mainstream topic that, gambling, you don't have to gamble on sports. You don't have to gamble at all. You could just go to a sporting event, grab a beverage, sit there in the second deck and watch it and be entertained. And if you did have a bet on Conor McGregor for him to win, I just can't imagine that you have any knowledge of the sport. I can't imagine. My buddy Scott Farrell put out a tweet about all that too. And the amount of people who probably bet on McGregor, are we at a time now where you really want to throw money away? with $6 gas or whatever it cost. I was in an airport over the weekend. It was like $19 for a bag of cashews. Is everybody rich? Does everybody have to throw away money to bet on Conor McGregor? I don't know. But I just wanted to get that in here. If you want to chop in, that'll be a big topic all show today. And get this going. 702-365-9200. 702-365-9200 if you want to get in. And hopefully we'll have a couple NBA guests. Today, we'll talk about LeBron James when we come back. I'm really into the World Cup. I think the World Cup is going to be amazing. I got 3 out of the 4 final teams that I said when it started. I didn't get Spain right, but I had Argentina, England, and France. That is a loaded Final Four, tremendously loaded for the World Cup. So we got a lot to get to. We're brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. They got a bunch of Modelo bars in here, which is great too. So if you want to get through, you can give us a call. If not, just sit back and listen. We'll have a couple of guests coming up. But my topics today are Conor McGregor, the World Cup. There are some rankings now with Raider players and position groups around the league coming out via Jeremy Fowler. If you want to talk about that, from Tyler Linderbaum to Max Crosby. Max Crosby is here today. Max Crosby will be in the building today for NBA Summer League, as I was texting back and forth with him. So Mad Max is coming in. And let's thank everybody and our host here, Albert Hall, and the entire team at NBA Summer League for having us at this beautiful studio. We're going to have a great day today, so if you want to get in, 702-365-9200. When we come back, the latest on LeBron James and the decision that's coming up, which is a pretty big one. And I think it's changed and it's turned a bit. Bay Area fans, you thought this was a slam dunk? I never did. But LeBron, I think, is down to his final 3 or 4 decision spots. We'll tell you about that next as we continue on the flagship of the race.
Decision that'll half the people will say you should have done this or should have done that, and they'll criticize him for whatever, which is his life. So he's been through all that. What I would just say is, if it's about winning, and that, let's talk about this team, because you can win here in Philadelphia.
JT back with you live from Summer League. That's Bob Myers on the future of LeBron James, maybe to go to Philadelphia. Kurt Helin, good friend of ours from NBC, all of his other platforms. Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you, man.
Great to see you, because I know your family, summertime, you just worked right through the NBA Finals. Then they send you here, and then normally you take a little bit of a break after this, right?
Yeah, I will, and there's some stuff. But this year, one of my daughters graduated high school. They had a whole group trip planned. So they and my wife went to Tahiti while I spent time in San Antonio and Salt Lake and Vegas. So this has worked out great for me.
Wow. I don't think that trip was free to Tahiti.
No,
either,
it was not.
But Dad was working at the time. Let's jump in, because I know you're only here for a short period of time. What's been your big takeaway with the rookie class and what we've seen so far here?
It's been impressive. The top 4 guys who came in with all that hype have lived up to it.
Okay.
Peterson, I saw in Salt Lake and here. He is explosive, and as he learns to handle the pressure defenses thrown at him, like, I kept watching that, JT, and thinking, why did Bill Self keep him off the ball so much? I mean, there was the injuries and the cramping and stuff, but, like, he's so good on the ball. DeBonce's been fantastic. Boozer is exactly what you expect to be every time, and he's just versatile and consistent, and his passing is dramatically improved, but he just – I was talking to a scout watching him run – he's running transition, got down, sealed his guy mid-post, and it's like, it looks like a 10-year vet the way he seals guys, the angles he does, all this stuff. So it's pretty amazing. They've all 4 of the top guys, Wilson set a record. Like, they've been fantastic, and then there's other guys who are fit. I've loved Yaxel Lundenberg. He's going to Golden State, and he is plug and play for a team that could use him.
Unbelievable. So that delivered. And Debanza, you believe, just is ahead of his skill set level, like IQ? Is that what you're saying? Smart player, or just super athletic?
Peterson's shown some IQ. Both of them have. Debanza is so fluid as an athlete. It's just incredible how, I don't want to say effortless. It reminded me, like, the analogy I keep using is when you used to watch peak Roger Federer play tennis.
Wow.
And you're like, remember how smooth that was and graceful? And you're like, is he really doing all this? It doesn't seem to have that, where it's not like Russell Westbrook, where you're like, wow, that's explosive athleticism or something, right? This is, it's fluid and graceful, but he gets to a shot, and he's got the height. He's just made plays. they're going to be pretty good in Utah this year. That's going to be pretty good with Peterson in Utah. That's going to be a pretty good Washington team is what I meant to say.
Kurt Helin is here. Any other team, the concept of talking to your sources about everyone from Portland to New Orleans, not the elite teams that you feel like are starting to get it right, maybe Sacramento with A-Cup. What are some of the lower tier teams that might improve drastically?
Look, I've had Utah on that list for a while only because, and they traded away Kessler, and they're going to have to figure out how to deal with that eventually, because if you're in the West, you're going to need a Kessler-sized body to deal with that French guy in San Antonio. But, I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, Peterson, and Ace Bailey on the wing. Well, Ace Bailey's at Sacramento. They got somebody on the wing, and I'm going to go blank. And Kete George at the point. Like, it's just that whole thing lines up. They're going to be good in Utah this year. The problem is they're in a deep West, but that's a team to keep an eye on. Like, you're going to tune in and watch them this year.
All right, the LeBron stuff. I mean, overall, and again, your connections to L.A. are as good as anybody in the NBA, but then you also know general managers and owners around the league here. Could it be 48 hours a decision? Could it be 24 hours? I mean, is this going to happen relatively quickly?
The vibe is it's getting to the point where you got to make your call, man. Like, if you're going to do this, do this. Again, LeBron can run on his own timeline because he's LeBron and he can do whatever he wants. But that's the sense around the league, is that, like, either do this or say you're going to wait until 2 months into the season and pick a team, do one or the other, and get with it. My prediction, by the way, would be about 2:00 local time tomorrow, because that's when my flight is.
Right? Doesn't it always work that way?
Pretty much. But I'll tell you too. I keep hearing Cleveland. Nobody knows, because LeBron has always been really good, and Rich Paul. It's a tight circle. They don't leak, but the tea leaves point to Cleveland, like if you're reading them.
No, I agree with you on that. That's always been my number one choice, because they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and you looked at how far they were able to go, and then the mistakes that they made. And Mitchell's a great player. I'm not a big Harden guy, but he can still get buckets. I just think LeBron could have calmed that whole situation down at Madison Square Garden, could have made it a little bit more hostile in Cleveland overall. I don't think the Knicks looked at Cleveland and Harden and Donovan Mitchell and said, Mobley can play, that this is something that intimidates us, but that just have the presence of LeBron James as the playoffs start next year, that'd be really strong. But then we're starting to hear Philadelphia, and Philadelphia looks like a better fit if he wants to win.
Philadelphia is a great fit if it's just basketball, but this is driven by more than that. Rich Paul called it happiness. Remember, he's filming a documentary through all of this. There's going to be camera crews following him around. The narrative of a return to Cleveland, as opposed to Cleveland, he's never put on a Philadelphia uniform, and what happens when they lose 4 in a row during the season? Philly fans can be a tad fickle.
Brutal.
So I think that all flows back to Cleveland. The organization knows him, can deal with him. The city can deal with that, the documentary and all that. Like, it's a more natural fit. Miami has some of that as well, but I keep hearing Cleveland, so we'll see.
Wrapping it up with Kurt Helin, why not the Warriors? Initially, with Draymond opting out and the ability to play with Draymond, a friend, and Steph, who he said when he played for the Olympics he always wanted to play for him. What happened with the Warriors? Or the Warriors just sitting back feeling like they got him and they're going to let this play out? What are you hearing from the camp of the Golden State Warriors?
I don't think they think they've got him. I think they realize, along with Minnesota, that they're just kind of on the outside looking in. Denver gets mentioned occasionally. If you want to win, if you want a path to the finals, which is clearly a big part of his decision, he wants that kind of postseason push, you don't want to be in the West. It's not just San Antonio. It's San Antonio and Oklahoma City. Even if one of them has an injury or is off, you've still got to get through the other one, and they're improving. Where I think you're spot on with what you said about Cleveland. James Harden's going to have an off playoff night. Donovan Mitchell's going to have off playoff nights. LeBron just showed us at 41 he beat Houston with what was left of a Lakers squad, none of whom are back with that team, by the way. All 5 starters are gone. You can plug him and play him right there, and Cleveland becomes one of the teams that's a legitimate threat to come out of the East.
We could talk about this for hours, but as we wrap this up, Detroit has Cade Cunningham, and they were the number 1 seed. Imagine him wanting to help Cade and be a mentor, and how great of a fit he would be there. I don't know if he's a perfect fit, as you're an aging legend outside your prime, but recently we've seen Messi
Yeah.
Tom Brady, and LeBron. Let me repeat that to everybody. Messi, LeBron James last year, and no doubt about it, Tom Brady in Tampa. You can still get a chip, a ring, a World Cup at the back end when you're out of your prime. None of these guys are in their prime. Their prime passed them, and they were still able to win championships.
And I think LeBron realizes if he goes to the right situation, that can happen. He can't carry it for 82 anymore. He is not Miami LeBron anymore.
No.
But pick his spots during the regular season, be healthy and ready to go in the postseason, and he can help lift a team. And that's one of the reasons you want to go to the East. He can make that kind of difference there in a way much harder in the West.
Tell us what you're doing on all your platforms, your video blog, and you're writing content, and there's going to be breaking news.
There's a lot of video.
Have
Yeah, we've got some great video up at NBC with interviews from Kingston Flemings, Carlos Boozer, stuff like that with Grant Liffman from our house. Two things to look for. I've got power rankings coming in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
And more fun, Tuesday is 2 years out from the start of the Olympics, and I'm going to predict the 12-man roster for the U.S. men's basketball team. By the way, we are loaded at the wing. We've got some great guards. I don't know what we're going to do at center. We've got to deal with that French guy.
Yeah.
And he's an issue, and we don't have the bodies to match up. So it's going to be it's an interesting exercise.
Thanks for all your appearances with me, my friend.
Forever, man.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. I'll talk to Kurt Helin in a second. When we come back, we'll have the founder of NBA Summer League joining us also as we continue live from the Thomas and Mack, brought to you by the DeCastro Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, there's only one group, the Brothers, brotherswin.com. Brotherswin.com. We'll be back live from NBA Summer League.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Comadou not there. Nickel the pull-up three. Boy, I tell you what, he's
saying in dominoes, nick him, don't cut him.
How about that?
Nick him to death.
That's now 6 threes. He's got 18 off the bench in 22 minutes.
JT, we're live from NBA Summer League. Warren Legarrie is here, the founder of NBA Summer League. He's had me here for everyone. Good to see you, my friend. Congratulations
Thanks
again.
for coming back, but thanks for inviting me on. This is a big-time show that Albert keeps telling me, come on, these guys are doing a great job for us, making sure the whole world knows what we're about. So I can't thank you enough.
We are thrilled to be here, and we're proud of our relationship with what you've done over the years. And now we were just talking about the addition of Amazon and some of your other partners, your hotel, casino properties that continue to support you, and obviously the fans that come back and they make this a ritual.
You know, one of the things with the fans, every year we have a convention with them. Guys, Adam called us the 31st franchise. You want to support the franchise, please come up. You got to show. But they have a special incentive now. They've got to prove to the league that this is an NBA-ready city. And the way they vote, buy tickets. Come here. Let the NBA know we're ready to support a real live regular season and hopefully playoffs.
So I've been living in Vegas since the mid-'90s. I know they can support an NBA team here. I just find it fascinating with not wanting to know your inside sources, but there seems to be a lot of successful people that want to be a part of this. And when you hear of former players like LeBron, who's still playing, or Magic, on top of Mr. Foley, Mark Davis, all the other people around the league, what is this looking like?
Don't forget the Godfather, Jerry Colangelo.
Of course.
He is my mentor. He's been somebody who's been very important to my life. I helped him down in Phoenix when we brought over Mike D'Antoni. That became the game changer for Phoenix as well as for the NBA. And Mike's going into the Hall of Fame because of all that, but courtesy of the Godfather.
Absolutely. He is the Godfather. Do you believe that this is going to get really competitive because of the price? The price not only to get an expansion fee, but then to think about the arena long term. This is not little boy deal, Warren.
But understand something. To us, it's price. To these guys, it's pocket change. It seems like
it is.
They live in a rarefied era. It's another world. It's monopoly money to these guys, which I'm happy. What I think what it is, the competitive nature. You want to be able to show people I'm not only successful, but the first business we all learn. How to be in sports. That's what every kid right away. We're all going to be a pro this. We're going to be a pro that. This gives them a chance to revisit that.
Warren, I want to ask you, the Knicks finally winning after 53 years. You know James Dolan. You know a lot of people behind the scenes there who helped build this roster. How big of a game changer was it finally for the Knicks to get over the top and win?
It was very personal to me. I've been working with Mike Brown for many years and stuff. For him to take that team, especially with the challenge, the gauntlet that Mr. Dolan threw down, pretty impressive. But the other thing, remember, Mr. Dolan has had a major impact on this city through the Sphere.
Yeah.
You don't see the Sphere, you're blind, okay? And in first year that with Summer League, he actually put Summer League with the basketball and the whole thing. Game changer for us. We had this big article that said all roads lead to Vegas Summer League because of that.
It's incredible. I just love the fact, I've been telling you and Albert this since I met you. I've never seen an event that is so friendly for kids and parents that just tell their kids, grow up here. You don't get lost, but go from both arenas, go from the pavilion to here and have a good time, get autographs, and enjoy yourself.
If you promise not to tell anybody, please, okay, it's our secret. Albert and I are both kids, okay, at heart. So we're doing things that we want to do, that we know that fans want. And every year we also take informal polls. We talk to people. What do you like? Here's some stuff. What are we missing? We got Papa Shot now. We bring in so many. For the kids over here, we got photography. We got people who have Hall of Famers. We got a classroom downstairs. What we try to do is be everything to everyone. Our film festival is going to attract a whole nother crowd. And Steve Kerr is bringing his Oscar-winning film. We've got the Soul Power, the one George Karl produced. So it's all basketball related, but the Soul Power is when you brought the NBA, the ABA into the NBA, that story.
It was a great documentary.
No, it's a terrific
absolutely. From Iceman Gervin to Dr. J to all the legends, Rick Barry's story about having to sit out and come back. You were there for that and all of that.
But think of this: who was Rick Barry in that particular trauma? Because they were trying to take his head off every night. He was the original Caitlin Clark.
That is good. I know Rick.
He went over there. He was trying to build up a league, and everybody was trying to break him down. Terrible. But all he did, he got really mad at somebody, just give him 46 instead of 36.
Wow, I got to tell you, that's a really good line. When I look at this league and where's it going, tell me about Adam Silver, your relationship, and the future growth, not only NBA Summer League, but European expansion with partnerships, global sponsorships.
I'd love to believe it's because Albert and I sit around, and Albert, by the way, just so we're clear, is the brains of the outfit. In order to be successful, you got to surround yourself with people who want you to be successful, and you also have to have a guardian angel. Adam is our guardian angel. He's believed in us from day one. David Stern, così, but Adam saw it wasn't about the strip. It wasn't about the nightlife. It was about the communities, fastest growing school districts, all the stuff that was going on beyond the strip. So he saw a future before the future was there. And that's where you have to give him huge credit, because he went out on a limb, a big limb, and he put his reputation online. And it really ultimately helped him, we believe, to eventually be where he should be as the commissioner.
Yeah, and I think he's done a wonderful job overall, especially with the TV money. You just mentioned Amazon as we started this off. As we wrap this up, the players that come in every year, the relationship you build with these young men, you talk to their agents. What have you learned about how they've evolved over the years and how humble they are when they come to Summer League knowing they got to pay their dues like the great legends who are playing in the game above them?
You know, we've always started this league with the belief you can see stars of tomorrow today. You're going to see the living legends up close and personal. There's no other place in the world you can be so close to people who are actually going to be influential. Every All-Star in last year's All-Star game in LA started here except for LeBron, because he was in Boston the year before we started our league. So we get every All-Star comes through here. Stephen Curry, when he played his first year here, was the third best player, not in the league, on his team. Anthony Morrow was considered a better prospect. Bellinelli, Marco Bellinelli, Italian kid. They both went for over 40. Stephen looked like a kid who was buying a ticket to get in the game, and he won a contest, so he was able to get on the court.
Unbelievable.
So our stars of tomorrow has actually come to fruition. People now see it. Every story. But the other thing is, the NBA has worked very, very hand in hand with us. You have an NBA regular season game. You got security. You can't do this. You can't do this. We don't have that. This NBA security works with us to allow the fan to be a fan here, to be close. You can walk in the concourse with Danny Ainge. You can walk in there with Sam Presti. They're all walking between the two games. The other thing is, they feel, even though we know we're not an NBA game, everyone feels we're an NBA experience.
Last one for Warren Legarrie, who's the founder of NBA Summer League. What's it like when celebrities reach out? What is that process like with you and Albert? Floyd Mayweather wants to come. LeBron's coming. What is that process like when Max Crosby's here today, my friend, when they decide they want to go? What is that like for you when you get the text?
It's one less Gucci Rosell, okay? It's one free ticket. No, we had Del Toro, the famous actor.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro.
He was here hanging out with us yesterday with Della Shrimp. Tell me how that happens. We had John Malkovich one year. No, it's crazy. The stuff that comes here, you don't know where your fans come from. We're going to get Ben Stiller out next year. And by the way, he's going to be a doc on that phone. We're going to get it at our film festival.
You got to get it in your film festival. He was at Wimbledon over the weekend, too. You saw him with that camera
he
phone
was
out
texting.
there.
He was texting Mike, telling everything what he was doing.
Unbelievable. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate you. I'll see you on the court. I'll see you at all the events.
Thank you for all the support. We greatly appreciate it.
I appreciate your friendship, and I'm happy we're going to be seeing you more in the city of sin, and wherever we see you again. Thanks again for everything.
As they say in Costa Rica, pura vida.
There you go, my friend. Take care. Warren Legarrie, we appreciate him coming on here as we are live from Summer League. And we'll continue on. Thank you, Warren. Appreciate it very much here. It's that big deal that we're able to do that because, yeah, you can jump in on that. Yep. And we're excited that we have a friendship with the guys who build NBA Summer League because these gentlemen are able to get us the access that we want here. So thanks again to Warren Legarrie for the great job he does getting us in here. And look, he mentioned this whole Vegas move. You just heard him talk about that, the ability to put an NBA team here in Vegas. I've always been a believer in that. There was one little bit of a hiccup. We had the NBA All-Star game out here, and that was a little bit of a bumpy road when the NBA All-Star game came to Vegas, and people were very concerned about the behavior of people when they came here. But that was for an All-Star game, not for a team that's going to be here. And in order for the NBA team to work here, it's the same thing we say with the Raiders. Everyone in town's got to get behind that team. And I think it's going to be great to get behind this NBA team because it will be an expansion team. The Raiders are different. They're a global brand. Whoever this expansion team is, they will not be a global brand. When the Golden Knights started here, they were not a global brand. But it was easy to get behind inaugural expansion teams. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the NBA will set up Vegas. Vegas will be able to find ways to get free agents to come in. How cool would it have been for LeBron James to play a year in Vegas? If he could wait 1 more year or 2 more years to do this. How great would it be if Victor Wembanyama says when his rookie contract's up, and I know he's got this new extension he just signed, but after this extension, what happens if he said, man, Vegas is good, I want to play in Vegas. I'm not going to re-sign with San Antonio. All of that can happen, and I'm excited about that. But I'm going to get behind the NBA team, but I'm a Knicks fan. And I will never give up the Knicks. One thing you cannot do is have me give up the Knicks. Gave up other teams to support the teams I get paid to work for. Not a problem. I'm not giving up my Knickerbockers. 702-365-9200. That hour flew by pretty quickly. Thanks to Warren Legarrie and also Kurt Helin, who was fantastic. It was nice to have him on. So we're going to continue. George Sedano's supposed to join us next hour. We're going to be rocking on the phones. I'll keep the stream going for another 15 or 20 minutes. The All-Star team for baseball. This is a big topic. Cam Slittler, say his name right, Slittler. Cam Slittler denied that he wanted to play in the All-Star game. I find that awful. I find it awful when any player turns down the MLB All-Star team. There were players who missed the All-Star game because they served their country. There are players that should only miss an All-Star game if they're injured. Can you believe Cam Slittler, who was going to pitch only an inning, has declined to play in the All-Star game? I have a really big problem with that. Did Nolan Ryan ever turn down an All-Star game? Did Mike Schmidt or Pete Rose, my friend, ever turn down an All-Star game? How dare anybody say that they're not going to go into the All-Star game if they're healthy to play? I think that's a big-time story. A really big-time story. I'll get into that next hour. 702-365-9200 if you want to line up. We got some good social media coming in today. We'll tell you all about that. And we're excited. Tonight I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio for 4 hours, not 3. Oh, boy. No nap time in between. I landed last night from Boise at midnight. Got a few hours sleep, and now I'm live from NBA Summer League. 1 more hour to go. Some World Cup talk coming up. And some hype on some Raider rankings. We'll get to all that coming up next hour on the flagship. Welcome Welcome back, everybody. We're live from Summer League, hour number 2 on Raider Nation Radio. I'm looking back right through these concourse windows at the new baseball ballpark right in front of me, Mandalay Bay, Virgin Hotel, the Luxor, and out in the distance, Allegiant Stadium. As we're here for NBA Summer League, I keep my record in place as I've come to every one. We're here Monday and we're here Thursday. My Knicks are playing right now at 1 o'clock, which is perfect for me. I'm going to be able to leave here and go watch a little bit of the Knicks, their second half of the game, even though the Knicks really don't seem to care a lot about rookies. They're all about reloading and trying to win. Today's show is mostly about LeBron James. Kurt Helin said its decision could happen tomorrow. It could happen by tomorrow night. I want to make sure that we're ready to talk about that. Also, tonight is the MLB Home Run Derby. Is anybody moved by that? Does anybody watch Home Run Derby anymore? I was at the greatest Home Run Derby, I think, of all time, 99. It came up on my Facebook memory. I don't even know if Facebook was around in 1999. I don't think it was. But something I posted came up there. I went with my dad to Boston in 1999 to the MLB All-Star game. And I was hosting my show for Sports Fan Radio Network, and I did a big listener party at a bar, the Halfway Cafe, and there was 600 listeners that showed up. It was a scene. And I bought them kegs, and we had a good time, and brought my dad, and they sent a limo for me. And we were just so happy to sit with my dad in the lower deck, down there off the field. We had great seats, kind of off home plate. My dad sat behind Johnny Pesky, who's an old legend. They call it the Pesky pole, down the right field line there. And we had a trip of a lifetime. And the night before the All-Star game, we went to Home Run Derby in 99. That was in the height of Sosa McGuire. And Sosa and McGuire, we were right behind them as they were launching home runs onto Yawkey Way. And I'll never forget that. And after the game the next night, Pedro Martinez pitched the next game. He pitched the All-Star game. And he struck out the side, and it was electric. It was electric. And I'll never forget, after the game, I was walking with my dad in Boston. We were walking away from the stadium, and we crossed the street, and Tim Russert, who hosted Meet the Press, was cutting across the street with us. And we talked to him for a few minutes. He couldn't have been a better gentleman to my father. And we had an unbelievable time, and it was an experience of a lifetime. And my dad, who's 88 years old now, I still remember taking him to the 1999 MLB All-Star game. Now, do I feel like the sport has dropped off the All-Star game over the years? Yeah, I really do. I think the entitled players in sports today, entitlement, care less and less about the All-Star game in any sport. So let's start with baseball. I mentioned Cam Slittler is turning down an invitation to pitch, and he could have started. If he didn't start, he would have got an inning, and that could have changed his life. He could have told his grandkids he pitched in the All-Star game in Philadelphia. He decided not to. I'm watching Bryce Harper as he's on, and he's talking now to Big Papi and Derek Jeter. This is a big moment for Bryce Harper from Las Vegas, playing in the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby in Philadelphia. He's taking it really serious. I just think fans who don't get on these players and kind of get in their face for not treating an All-Star game the way it was treated 40, 50 years ago, that's not get off my lawn stuff. It's real. You have to take sports seriously, and just because you now make 200 to 300 to 700 million, I mean, who do you think cares more about the All-Star game? Pete Rose when he was alive or Juan Soto today? It's not even close. And everybody should take it seriously. Everyone. So that's tonight. We still got the World Cup. There's some good World Cup popping up here. I got 3 of the 4 teams right that are in the semifinal. England is the team I root for. I told you that England was going to beat Mexico at Azteca Stadium. They were able to do that. And now I'm looking at the team now. I don't know if they're good enough to beat Argentina. I'll be rooting for England over Argentina, but it's going to be very difficult for them to get that done. But it looks like to me the momentum is with England. And for England to beat Norway and Eric Holland and they be able to pull that off was huge. And then to see France and Spain, which is a heavyweight fight, that's unbelievable. The opening topic of the show Again, Vegas let me down again. A lame response to what I wanted to talk about is Conor McGregor. I want to talk to people who want to talk about Conor McGregor for a few minutes today. People in Las Vegas who feel ripped off. Viewers who bought the fight, and I know you bought it if you had the Amazon.com. It wasn't as expensive as a $90 pay-per-view. But more importantly, I want to talk to the gamblers. The gamblers who feel like they got ripped off. The gamblers who bet on Conor McGregor, and to see Conor McGregor rip him off, to say he was injured. Was he injured? It looked like he suffered an injury, but do you think he suffered the injury inside the octagon, or he had that injury before that? I'm going to go to the integrity of Dana White and say that he wasn't injured coming in. But, man, there's a lot of people on social media who are saying that he was injured. So I want to hear from you on this, 702-365-9200. Will you pay for another Conor McGregor fight again? I can't imagine Conor McGregor ever fighting again. And if you were dumb enough to bet on Conor McGregor, let me take that back. That's rude. If you were ignorant enough to bet on Conor McGregor, you deserve to lose every drop of money you bet on him. And I'm sitting here, Mateo, you watched it. You didn't bet on Conor McGregor, right? You just wanted to watch the fight. Mateo, who's our engineer, said something interesting. He cracked a beer open, and by the time he took a sip, the fight was over. Wow. I mean, that puts it in perspective. When you look at what could happen and what doesn't happen in sports, whenever you gamble, you get emotionally involved. Whenever you put your money into something you care about a little bit more, I think there's a lot of fans who are really affected by what Conor McGregor did. I was traveling. I was up in Boise over the weekend. I didn't watch it, but I saw the highlights. Didn't take long to see the highlights. The highlights a little over a minute there. But talking to everybody who was there, I think a lot of people are really having a difficult time with that. We have some sound from Dana White. Dana White, assuming the ACL injury happened during the fight. Dana was worked up. Here's Dana White immediately after Conor McGregor got embarrassed.
I mean, I was expecting at least a one-round war, or, who knew what Conor was capable of as far as cardio or whatever else after a 5-year layoff. And, well, there you go. I mean, we're assuming blown ACL. I'm no doctor, but that's what I figured when I saw it, and doctors think the same thing too.
All right, so if he did blow out his ACL, and I'm sure there might have been something I saw today, Conor McGregor put out a statement. He's having surgery. He plans to fight again. So he's going to have surgery and plans to fight again. And if he's allowed to fight again, I think that's going to be an issue. So the surgery following his first-round loss to Max Holloway at UFC 329, he claims he'll fight again. Surgery, prehab, return to martial arts practice, go again. McGregor wrote on Instagram earlier today. Final fight of the contract, praise God. Again, if he's able to pull off this scam one more time, I've seen it all. 702-365-9200 if you want to get in on Conor, and especially anybody in Vegas. You might have worked the fight at T-Mobile. You want to be anonymous. You might have been there as a fan. You might have been there for free. You might have been there paying. Whatever it was, I want to know how you handle this and how you feel about the reaction after the fight. And for Holloway, that was the easiest payday of his life. And you could say it was the easiest payday probably for Conor McGregor. Will you fight again? I think Conor McGregor will. Are we dumb enough to pay to see him fight again, especially pay at the gate and go in and watch him? I don't see how that could happen. 702-365-9200 is the number. Clay says we got sound on Cam Slittler not pitching in the All-Star game. Here's the Yankees.
I think the plan, from a month ago or so was to throw, especially if I was able to start. And, I felt confident with how I felt in Tampa after my start. Felt confident in my recovery, coming into Washington. And, I threw and I kind of sat there and I was like, listen, it's a long season. I've thrown a lot of innings so far. We've had a few injuries already and just didn't kind of want to risk the chance of feeling a little bit dragged, after if I were to go out there on a 2 days rest and try to throw 100 miles an hour. So, again, just trying to put myself and the team first, and, we got bigger aspirations for this season.
Yeah, so he's bigger aspirations for the season, which I'm really upset about. The Yankees have been a train wreck this year. They've been an absolute mess. So when you look at the Yankees, he has bigger aspirations. So do I want to win a World Series. But I think it's important to represent the team in the All-Star game. I think Yankee fans should have an opinion on that and why a pitcher or a position player would not play. And I'm upset about this because I think it's not fair. It's not fair at all to Yankee fans who pay those season ticket prices to not see their ace pitcher pitch in the All-Star game. I think that's really important, and it's the type of hill to die on, because then you have no respect for the game. You have no respect for the history of the game. You have no respect for Stan Musial, Pete Rose, Ted Williams, all the legends who played. You can't have it both ways on this topic. You have to take it seriously or don't take it serious at all. And I think athletes who blow off opportunities to represent their team, represent their country, I think that's one of the worst things you can do. So a guy who's a big fan of Cam Slittler like I am, I'm very disappointed in his behavior here. I don't know many other players who are in this position. I know players want to sit out an All-Star game because they just feel like they're injured and they don't want to. I can understand why you'd want to sit out the home run derby, because you can change your swing up and it could get you in a slump after that. But these are the moments that kids like, and kids like big moments in sports, and that would be a big one. Let me jump in also and talk about LeBron James. We had a guest on earlier, Kurt Helin. That decision could come, I think, in the next 48 hours. I don't see that going past Wednesday for LeBron James. So we're going to see what happens. There is a clue that maybe the Warriors are in a situation because they brought in Frank Vogel to be the associate head coach for Steve Kerr. And remember, Frank Vogel was the head coach of the Lakers when they won their championship in the bubble. Is that a clue that Frank Vogel is there to help woo LeBron James? It could be. Vogel, 53 years old, has been a head coach for 4 different franchises for 12 total seasons. He led the Lakers to an NBA Finals in 2020 and took Indiana to 2 conference finals there. And I think a lot of Warrior fans who I'd like to hear from got to make up their mind here if they're going to make another push. Because Steph and LeBron teaming up, that could be a disaster, or that could be a dream team if LeBron plays at a high level and Steph comes back. Saw a little bit of Steph playing golf at the American Century Championship, and he looked good. He was on the leaderboard the last day and came up a little bit short to Marty Fish, who's won that event 3 times. But I had a couple of buddies who were boating up there and went up there and watched Steph Curry, Derek Carr, and here's Marcus Allen. Marcus had some pretty good sound. You know how much we love Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen was on the course, and he was asked about Mendoza, and should Mendoza play sooner or later.
Personally, I don't mind younger players sitting and watching and learning. You know, I think obviously the pressure and the expectation of being number one and the amount of money that guys are being paid, you know, a lot of times we throw guys out there when, you know, they may not be ready, or they may not have the personnel around them that would really sort of facilitate, you know, an opportunity to be really, really good. So, you know, I think it all depends on management and what they want to do. And I think I got faith in John, the GM. I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah, it's a big decision. And Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, everybody's commented on that. Big Al's calling in from San Francisco, driving back from Tahoe, which was one of the best places in the world to be over the weekend. Big Al, we're at Summer League waiting on LeBron James's decision, which hasn't happened yet. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, who really knows when his decision's going to come up, you know, and where he's going to go. I stand by what I said to you a couple weeks ago, that his landing spot will be right here in the Bay Area. And Frank Vogel, who is a very highly regarded coach, he won a championship in the bubble, but if Rick Carlisle is recommending people for jobs, you better rest assured they're really good. And Rick Carlisle who had left Indiana on his first term, and not such great terms, told Indiana basically stop it and hire him. It's a good hire for the Warriors. I think LeBron still comes there, and his relationship, from what I understand, was pretty good with Vogel. That certainly leads all signs pointing to it. But nobody's going anywhere until Anthony Davis's thing is figured out. I might stand wrong, and if I do, I'll call back in and I'll say I'm wrong. But until that pawn moves, LeBron's really in no rush to go anywhere, and I don't know, what kind of announcement he's going to be making anytime in the near future.
Yeah, I just think the Philadelphia, and you work in the NBA, the Philadelphia hook is starting to look like a decent one there, but there is no relationship with Philly. It is the East Coast. It's leaving his family. And I'm sure his wife, he's so rich, he's worth well more than $1 billion. His wife and young daughters, his boys are growing, they're not going to move to Philadelphia and buy a house or rent a house in Philadelphia. LeBron will have some setup. But with the Warriors, he can commute. He can commute on off days. He can get up and down to Los Angeles. And I think for his lifestyle in the documentary, the Warriors give him the ability, Big Al, with his documentary, to make it a lot about the Bay and L.A. and Beverly Hills and going back and forth, and then having Draymond Green and Steph Curry. If you're doing a documentary and it's the last year you're playing, don't you want Steph Curry as your teammate in that documentary?
Yeah, I would. For that documentary, of course, for his film production, career that he's looking to really take off on, but even more so for his basketball career, because you take a look at Philadelphia, nice talent, lots of ball dominant players. You take a look at the other places around the league that he is rumored to go to, lots of ball dominant players. You go to Golden State, Draymond Green is not a ball dominant player. Stephen Curry's not a ball dominant player. LeBron can play the 1, 2, 3, or 4, and you can rest assured that should he come to Golden State, and AD happens to come to Golden State too, which I do think will happen, you're looking at LeBron bringing up the ball and Steph playing off the ball. And there's a monumental difference for a player like Steph who can shoot the daylights out of the hoop, as we all know, to play off the ball, coming off picks and screens like he did during the glory years of 2015 to 2019, than having to shoulder the responsibility of being a distributor and a three-point shooter. To me, the hope from LeBron's production career notwithstanding, from a basketball standpoint, they can pay him the mid-level exception, which is a part of basketball. And from an on-court standpoint, I don't see really another competitor. Philadelphia just doesn't make any sense to me. Miami cannot pay him. That doesn't make any sense. They got two ball-dominant players there. So LeBron has to have the ball to be effective. And if you think he's going to stand on the wing waiting to get the ball off of some sort of crazy creation, of a screen or a pick, that doesn't happen. That's never happened in LeBron's career, and it's not going to happen now.
Very astute phone call. Thank you, Big Al. Appreciate you checking in. Thanks a lot. Safe travels from Tahoe. Normally, I was at Tahoe for 10 years for that golf tournament, man. Then they switched networks. We were doing a lot of stuff with them back in the day, and it looked great. It's just a fantastic event up there in Tahoe. Great to be back from Boise, where I was for the last 4 nights. Had a great time tubing down the Boise River, and I have a newfound respect for Boise. Great time. Really appreciated that. You want to get in? 702-365-9200. Steve and El Cajon, as we look back on that 99 All-Star game that I attended. What's going on, Steve?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be there also, and the All-Century team was unbelievable when they brought out, Koufax and Mays and all the great players of the past. And then to end it with the last two players that they brought out and announced were Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski, and the Boston fans were it was so loud. And when all the players came to the mound to celebrate that first pitch with Ted Williams, it wasn't really planned. It was just going to be Tony Gwynn, but they all ended up coming out there, and it ended up taking a little longer than they had anticipated. But the emotion of that moment and being in that stadium with people who were crying. I'm from the West Coast, so I didn't quite get the same feeling, but there was people crying around me. One guy was a big old construction-looking guy, and he was wiping his eyes, and he turned to me. He was sitting next to me and said, that was my dad's favorite player. And it just really hit home how great baseball is and sports is in our lives.
I'm really happy you shared that, because I should have brought that up. Ted Williams coming out on the golf cart was one of the greatest standing ovations I've ever seen. The topic for today, though, is do you think, and that was literally a little over 26 years ago, do you feel like the All-Star game has lost its luster? It's not as important anymore. There isn't the fanfare of bringing out Willie Mays or Henry Aaron or Ted Williams. Pete Rose has passed on, one of the greatest All-Stars to ever live. Now, we've lost that edge where the the All-Star game used to matter a lot more.
I totally agree. It just everybody's worried about their whether or not they're going to be ready for the following week for their start. I mean, so what if you got to push it back a day or two? You're playing with the greatest players of all time, and the memories that are going to be made there that night and that week, 2 days together, it's just unforgettable. I just can't understand why you would pass up that opportunity. The best facing the best.
Appreciate the phone call. Thanks for checking in. 2 good calls back to back. That's what we look for here. Want to hear from you. 702-365-9200. There are things in sports that are supposed to be better, right? They're supposed to be better. And you got young people that didn't experience what you might have experienced if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's a different time. We get that. Social media has changed a lot. But the institutions, the big events, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals. Let me jump in and say the Stanley Cup has become bigger and better. I can tell you that. And if you watch the way the NHL has grown and what the NHL has been doing as of late, I don't think most people are saying, man, the NHL Finals aren't as good as they were back in the day. Some people were saying during this last one and the run that we just saw with Carolina and the Golden Knights through 4 or 5 games that it was the best in Stanley Cup Finals ever. I don't know if you could agree with that, but, you talk about Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, other dynasties along the way, but people like that a lot. The NBA, this year we were really hard on the NBA. Oh, my God. We were so hard on the NBA because of load management, tanking, but the playoffs were fantastic, and the Knicks won for the first time in 53 years. So if it's going to take you 53 years to win, that is a crescendo high moment for the NBA. And that happened this year. But I don't know if people think the NBA is better than it was back in the day. Get some of the greatest players of all time playing right now. You got LeBron James and Steph Curry near the ends of their career. LeBron closer to the end with Steph. And that's going to end up being 2 of the top 6 or 7 players of all time. I never dreamed that Steph Curry could be a top 10 player. How could you? He's a little tiny human being from Davidson. No one thought he was going to be a top 50 player. He turned out to be the greatest shooter in NBA history, better than Larry Bird. He was a more impactful shooter than Larry Bird, who was arguably the best shooter along with Jerry West and a handful of guys who were lights out. So when you look at the top 10 NBA players to ever play, Steph Curry has broken into the top 10. Can he break into the top 5? Well, in order to break into the top 5 with Steph, you'd have to put him ahead of Wilt Chamberlain, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Right? You start going to Bill Russell. I'm already at 5. Do you think Steph was better than Kobe? Interesting topic. I give Kobe the edge over Steph. But I can see people arguing back at me saying, no, you can't compare and say, well, Kobe's got 5 and Steph has 4, and that means one's better than the other. All you need is 1 ring. All you got to do is win 1 to be a champion. Jerry West won 1, and he's arguably considered a top 10 player, and he's the logo. He's got 1 ring. Should have had 6 or 7. But this Victor Wembanyama, when it's all said and done, I think has the ability to break into the top 10 and maybe the top 5. Victor Wembanyama is really the one guy playing now in the league that has the ability to go down as a top 5 player. Steph, will he get into the top 5? I would probably say no, but he's in the top 10. And where you put him in the top 10, I don't care. He's in the top 10. That's how great of a player he's been. All right, we got a lot of partners that we have to thank, and I want to make sure I thank Mike over at Finley Volvo Cars of Las Vegas. He's a proud partner of our time out here at NBA Summer League. My wife and I were over there the other day. She test drove a hybrid vehicle, which she fell in love with. If you're looking for a new vehicle, pre-owned, you want to have a lease, you want to buy it outright, Mike will put a deal together for you at Finley Volvo Cars Las Vegas. Fantastic showroom, unbelievable service. Man, they're great in regards to their whole department there. Proud partners of our show. When we come back, more about the UFC debacle and some Raider news on a couple of the rankings that came out. I don't think I've mellowed with age, but when it comes to the Raiders, I've mellowed a lot in July and August. I don't freak out in July and August. I used to. I used to freak out in July and August. Now I don't. there's no need to waste that type of energy. But there's a lot to say on these rankings. I'll tell you about it next.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
They motion everyone to the left, one-on-one for Bowers. Here comes the blitz. Chino sees it, lobs it towards the end zone. Bowers shoved to the ground. Made the catch! Oh my God! Bowers made the grab on his backside! One of the toughest catches you'll ever see! Brock Bowers on the turf, caught it with his one hand, and he smothered it into his chest! Wow! That is Brock to his prime, and that is a Raiders touchdown.
Jason Horowitz on the call. JT back from NBA Summer League. And we'll be here also on Thursday. We just heard a national anthem at one court. On the other court, Max Crosby is sitting on the court as my Knicks are playing over at Cox Pavilion. And this is great. So these crowds have been fantastic for obvious reasons. You get to see one of the best draft classes come in. So if you're visiting or you plan on coming to Vegas here, well, they'll be here another week, and I think you'll have a great time. We are brought to you by the Fighting Spirit of Modelo. Modelo, proud partner of our show, live here from NBA Summer League. So I saw the list come out of the top 10 quarterbacks. Jeremy Fowler does this every year, and I think it's important because they interview and they're asking questions to the big names. We're talking about the general managers, the people who vote, and this is the 7th edition of these annual rankings. So ESPN surveyed league executives, coaches, and scouts to put together the top 10 at 11 different positions. Brock Bowers, Tyler Linderbaum. The Raiders have a few players that can make a couple of these lists, but overall, they're not there yet. They got a lot of players on prove-it deals, a lot of good players, but the Raiders are not loaded with veteran stars. I think they have young stars and up-and-coming stars, and that's going to be real important. So as the list came out, normally I go from 10 to 1, but I'd rather start at 1, which is rare. Josh Allen of the Bills. So he was last year ranked number 2. He's ranked number 1 overall. I think that's fair. I've been a big fan of Josh Allen and what he does, and he should have won a Super Bowl by now. Should have won. He could be going for 2 or 3. Buffalo has been built to win the Super Bowl. And he surpassed Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes came in at number 2. Now, Mahomes didn't have a good year last year, but I think out of respect, he's led the list the last 3 seasons, so they weren't going to knock him down from 1 to 8 or 9. I think it's fair to put Mahomes at number 2 because he was coming off an injury. And if you look at this, he's had subpar production after 3 consecutive seasons of being number 1 on this list. He could still get to number 1. I mean, his lowest ranking was 9. His highest ranking on this list was 1. And he's 30 years old. Just remember Brady in his 40s, and Mahomes is 30, just turned 30. Number 3 is Matthew Stafford, the MVP. He's 38 years old. Last year he was ranked number 6. I think that's fair. Then we get Joe Burrow at number 4. I have no problem with that. 29 years old. He's played for a franchise that has underachieved for most of our life, and I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. So I think they nailed it with 1 through 4. At number 5, they get to Lamar Jackson. And this is going to be interesting because Lamar Jackson has had some votes for number 1. He's only 29 also. But last year, he did not have a good year, especially in the clutch. He's a 2-time MVP and still doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, just like Josh Allen. For Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson to combine not have a Super Bowl ring is shocking to me. If you would have told me that 5 years ago, I would have said they both would have had 1, and maybe one of them would have had 2. Number 6 is Dak Prescott. I wouldn't have had Dak number 6. I would have had him a little bit farther down. He was unranked last year. But he's pretty good when it comes to throwing percentage. He's a big, strong player. He can deliver the ball on time. And Dallas put up some points last year. I think Dallas' team is better. Justin Herbert came in at number 7. This is where I get the most pushback. And it's tough because I say this throughout Raider Nation. I think Justin Herbert's one of the greatest talented quarterbacks I've ever seen. Ever. I saw him play live multiple times. I've seen him do stuff live that I haven't seen Brady and Josh Allen do. The delivery of the football, the speed, and the accuracy. I don't think Justin Herbert's good. I think he's great. I think he's elite. Now, Raiders have Mendoza now. I'll get to that in a minute. But Justin Herbert is the type of guy that should win a Super Bowl. And I'm not rooting for the Chargers. I root against them harder than anybody. But Justin Herbert's going to be playing in bigger and better games the rest of his career. Now, one of the things that was said by a personnel executive is that Herbert appears to be on nearly 80% of the ballots. And there's a reason the Chargers' OC job was the best one available, because at the quarterback position, they're saying Mike McDaniel should be able to streamline some things for Herbert, manufacture some layup first downs for him. I agree with that. I'm not a huge fan of Mike McDaniel as a head coach, and Josh McDaniels wasn't a great head coach, but they're elite coordinators. And I think Justin Herbert's going to be making smarter and better throws. At number 8, Drake May at the age of 23. Wow. 23 years old, and Drake May's there right now. Drake May should be in this top 10 list for the rest of his career. I'm blown away by him. I think he's really good. Jared Goff at number 9. I think that's a little low for him. I think Jared Goff could have been in the top 5, but last year Detroit really fell backwards. And at number 10, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is the Chicago Bears. He came on strong last year, really strong. And I think you're going to see him only get better along the way. So for Jeremy Fowler in this list, I think they got their top 10 pretty accurately. Thing I wanted to say about Fernando Mendoza, he's got to get on this list quick. Not this year, not next year, but in his 3rd year, Fernando Mendoza's got to get into the top 10 list of quarterbacks if the Raiders are going to compete. Didn't get a chance to hear this, but here's a portion of Fernando Mendoza at Media Day at Raiders headquarters when he sat down with Amber, James, and Eric Allen, his first Media Day appearance as a member of the Silver and Black.
It's great to see you in the silver and black, dude. I mean, this is awesome.
Thank you.
This is the first time I've seen you in silver and black.
Yeah, it's surreal, and to be able to be here in the silver and black and have the actual uniform on, it's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity that I look forward to taking the most advantage of it.
Do you feel a little tougher, like a little darker, just a little on the dark side? Because you seem like a pretty good guy, but like a little edgier now.
Yeah, but now we're on the dark side. Coach Kubiak's doing a great job educating us on team history, and I get a lot of team history. It's like, all right, this is what I'm a part of.
There you go.
What a special organization.
That's what people don't understand.
And
right?
so be a part of the dark side. It's great, you know?
Yeah. That's what people don't understand. Like, when you get here, it's not just the books and the plays. It's like the history.
Yeah.
You got to know who played quarterback before you, who's the receiver, all that stuff. So talk to me now. Who's your guy that you didn't know when you got here as far as alumni who you're like, wow, I didn't know that guy had this kind of impact with the Silver and Black?
Oof. I mean, there's so many.
You're right.
I mean, there's so many, but and especially that I've researched.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at the quarterback position, but some. I mean, I always knew Jerry Rice played for the Raiders, but I didn't realize the impact he actually had.
Right. Yeah.
With the Raiders.
Yes.
And, and to see that and to see so many other greats come through the building is special.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was laughing because when I came from the Packers and I put that Raiders uniform on, I said, I'm going to kill everybody. I just felt different in the silver and black. I just felt different. So it's funny she said that. Do you feel different? I felt different. Like, man, it's on. The team by myself, right? All right, now, hey, you got a couple practices under your belt. Last time we talked to you, we was up there, in suits
studio.
and ties and dresses and all that type stuff. Now no white stripes on the football.
Exactly.
That NFL ball. And you got some reps in. How you feel, man?
Feel good, learning and growing every single day. Adjustment to the NFL, it's definitely an adjustment. There's been a lot of great moments, and there's been a lot of growing pains. So I think being a part of that and be able to practice with those guys, such a high-intensity practice, whether you're with the 1s, the 2s, or the 3s, everyone's always going full throttle. Coach Kubiak has set a great culture, and be able to learn from those veteran guys has been essential in my development so far. However, I've been growing, I've been learning, I've been really happy with the progress I've made.
There it is.
Forget about football. I know that you went over to Max Crosby's house, right? To watch Game 7. And I heard you played a game of horse.
Uh-oh.
Now, did you get knocked out by Max?
Well, yeah, I definitely I got horsed out. I got horsed out by Max. Max is, I mean, he's an incredible athlete. He is like top tier. Although I like to think of myself as an incredible athlete, he's a lot better at basketball than I am. But the competitor inside me didn't want to let that go. And so the competitor inside me saying he did have a little bit of home court advantage. Literally, literally at his home. No, but he's a fantastic basketball player, and it was tough to get knocked out by Max, but have to get a rematch soon.
You had to play basketball at some point, being 6'5", right?
Yeah, I did.
In your childhood?
Yeah, my high school they were like one of the top ranked basketball high schools because they have the Boozer brothers. And so you actually weren't allowed to play football and basketball. The seasons kind of overlapped.
Right.
But I love basketball. It's good to watch.
So now all you got to do, though, is very simple. Get a coach, which is me, because I know I'm flicking the wrist and my jump shot is like that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Number two, when you build your mansion, put your court in there. Get your home court.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, first I'm focused on football. So football's first.
There it is.
That's right. Talk to us a little bit about what it's like being in the meeting rooms with Kurt. What has he helped you with? What have you helped him with? Those kind of things.
No, he's definitely helping me a lot. He's extremely cerebral, and he's been in this offense before, so he's already have a little bit of an upper hand in a sense where he's been able to teach the other quarterbacks and have experience with the plays, not just in practice, not just in scrimmages, but in actual games. He sees how these plays have played out. He's had experience with Coach Kubiak, which has been so interesting to see, and I've been able to learn firsthand and secondhand, whether it's my own experiences, whether it's asking Kirk questions, or just observing the room.
Right.
Is there any similarities to Clint's offense compared to the offense you came from in Indiana?
Well, I think every offense has similar because football is football at the end of the day. It can't be that much different to have an effective offense. But the schematics of it's different. There's a lot more under center variables that I've been learning, getting a lot of extra reps in, and I feel a lot more comfortable under center. But it's a great offense. I really believe in Coach Kubiak's offense.
Tom Brady, he showed up at OTAs, and if there was one thing, I'm sure he said a lot of things to you and given you a lot of advice, but if there was one thing that you would pass on to a younger quarterback, what would it be that Tom has said to you?
Yeah. No, I usually like to keep the conversation between Tom and I private, but I do think
a philosophy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Approach.
I think that what he said is, as a quarterback, you need to be the most everything. You need to be the most competitive. You need to be the most leader. You need to have the most leadership. You need to be the toughest, mentally and physically. And you got to embody all these things and lead by example before gaining that equity and respect by your teammates in order to lead effectively. And so that really resonated with me and the other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Take me through the clip that I always see about, you're in the pocket, you're trying to, figure out kind of what's going on. You take off and run. You dive in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
Great play. Take me through that. How did you process that play, and what eventually led you to take that chance to dive in the end zone?
Well, going back from the week of preparation, it all starts with preparation. So you can feel free, prepared, and confident whenever you get any play call. So always try to walk through all the plays, have a plan in action, have, what's the intent of the play, what are the different scenarios, and what's the problem of this play.
Right.
And with that specific play, it was a little bit of a mixed read. The defense was jumbled up. They didn't think we would actually go for it.
Yeah.
And at that point, I knew that the default of the play was to run. And so with a little bit of a cloudy look, I decided to run, trust my offensive lineman, went up the hole, thought I was actually went the wrong way. So it's like when you take a wrong turn on Google Maps, and then I got pinballed in, and I just got, my body just naturally dove, and it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Fernando, I know we only have a little bit of time with you. We do have a game that we want to play. I know you're getting to know your teammates, but we want to see if you can recognize them in their boyhood. Okay.
Awesome.
So which teammate is this?
That's Ashley Genty.
That is correct. That is Ashley Genty. There you go. Look at him. It's short hair. Okay, let's see another one.
Tyler.
These are easy.
Yeah.
He looks. He was a man.
He has a great head of hair there.
Yeah, I know.
That is awesome.
Yeah, what was he, 10 there? He was like 6
Look
foot
identical.
20. Yeah, okay, let's do another one.
Oh,
Who's
my
this?
goodness.
Trey
easy.
Tucker.
Trey Tucker. Very
Still
good.
wearing number 1.
That's a nice photo right there. That's like a good little
Where my dog
personality
Trey
shot.
at, man? He looked bigger there.
I can't even see that far.
You can't really see that far, to be honest.
That's Max.
Really?
No, that is not.
That is Max. I'm going to say that.
What?
The red hair. He has red hair.
Max. Wow.
Come on.
It's a little tough because his face down.
Y'all questioning me now. That's easy too.
That's Eric.
Yep.
Sure.
Eric Stokes. There we go. All right.
Oh, well, you can definitely tell from. Yeah.
We could go forever.
Awesome.
So you already know your teammates, man.
Good job, man.
Fernando, I know it has been a lot for you. I know it's been a lot with the draft season and coming to a new team, but you've handled it beautifully.
Sure.
And you know what? I love how intentional you were with the Tom Brady answer. It just shows you how cerebral and you really are intentional with what you do. And I think Raider Nation has to love that as a leader. So thanks for being here with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for showing up, Raider Nation.
Thanks. Can't wait to see you at training camp. We'll see you.
All right, my man.
He looks good in the silver. Looks good in the silver and black. Good to see you, Fernando.
All right, that's fun from my teammates there over at Silver and Black Productions, James Jones, Eric Allen, and Amber Theo Harris. I didn't get a chance to see that, and that sounded really good. So I mentioned when the top 10 quarterbacks came out, when I look at Fernando, who hasn't played a snap in the NFL, well, Caleb Williams a couple of years ago didn't play a snap, and he's in the top 10. And Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy. Fernando won the Heisman Trophy. Caleb didn't win a national championship. Fernando's won a national championship. So when you look at the opportunity to win it all and what they've been able to do, I think it's a big deal. Fernando's got to get up to speed quickly. And I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about a couple of years from now. He's got to be what Drake May is. As a matter of fact, Drake May is a good example. Drake May was not Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza was better than Drake May in college. Fact, not fiction. And Drake May is right there inside the top 10. And he's young. So I have high expectations for Fernando Mendoza, no doubt about it. We got about 10 minutes left in the show. Brandy's doing a great job getting all the social media for us so you can see what our studio looks like as we're out here. You want to check that out, all of our social media at Raider Nation Radio. We appreciate Brandy being here and doing that. That's really nice. So all the social media that you're going to see from all of our stations here on the Las Vegas Sports Network and some interviews, keep it there. And we'll thank everybody as we wrap it up and be back here on Thursday. When we come back, we'll take a look at the schedule that's coming up. We're in the dead zone. This is about the dead zone of the dead zone, the All-Star game. But fortunately, we have the World Cup to carry us through the rest of a week before we get closer and closer to training camp. I think this is the best World Cup of my lifetime. I've watched a few of them. We'll look at the schedule coming up next.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Oh, and now look, that's going to do it.
Oh, my goodness. What is going on?
About as anticlimactic an end as there could be. McGregor's injured. There's some injury he's dealing with.
But why do they? It looks like his right leg. Is it his ACL or something?
Wow.
I don't understand.
Max Holloway, ever the sportsman, didn't want to inflict further punishment. Massive disappointment.
Yeah, it's a UFC call. JT back at Summer League. Brian and Mateo, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys getting me on the air. Big-time pros here. We want to thank Wayne Legarrie, who's the founder, the godfather of the NBA Summer League. Also, Kurt Helin from NBC. He joined us in the first hour of the show. We'll be back Thursday with several more guests. I'm on Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight for 4 hours. It's a long one tonight, 6 to 10 p.m., so I got to get the throat and voice ready to go after my long weekend up in Boise. Floating down the Boise River. Looking forward to doing that maybe every other year or every year. It was a lot of fun. Quickly, Q's coming up next. He's got a great show lined up for you. Make sure you always tune in. Look for our social media that's coming up here. And on top of that, the Raiders are excited. They got some camp dates that we're going to be talking about coming up here, which will be a tremendous opportunity for you in Raider Nation to go see the Raiders. And I'll be diving into that more tomorrow with the guest and the schedule of what's going to play out. We have Tuesday and Wednesday World Cup action, which is going to be fantastic. So we got two heavyweight fights there overall. We talked a lot about Conor McGregor today and the fraud of that fight and the people that lost money and got ripped off along the way. That just happens. From time to time, you're going to get ripped off. From time to time, you're not going to get the matchup that you want, and you didn't get it with Conor McGregor there, but people will line up again and do it again and again and again. Thanks to everyone over at NBA Summer League. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. Always look forward to coming out. The 5 Raiders open training camp practices are all at 7:30 in the morning except the last one. August 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th. That's all at 7:30 a.m., open practices. And August 11th will be at Allegiant Stadium at 6 p.m. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here at NBA Summer League on Thursday. Back in studio tomorrow.